How the tortoise fell from heaven. Long ago, in the earliest days of the animal kingdom, heaven was still close to the earth, and humans and animals sometimes visited the heavens. One season, a great announcement swept through the land. There will be a grand feast in heaven. All invited must fly. The birds rejoiced. They cleaned their feathers, sharpened their beaks, and practiced their wing beats. But the animals who lived on the ground grumbled. Except Emby, the tortoise, the clever one with a sharp brain, a wide mouth, and a deep love for food. How can heaven hold a feast without me? He queried. I must go. I will go. And so, the plan began. The tortoise went from bird to bird: eagle, kite, parrot, dove, owl, quail, nightjar, and sparrow, speaking sweet words and giving empty promises. My friend, lend me just one feather. Only one. I must not miss this feast. Each bird, thinking nothing of it, plucked a feather and handed it to the tortoise. He gathered the feathers, tied them together with vines, and crafted a pair of wings that turned him into something strange and feathery. On the appointed morning, as the birds prepared to fly, the tortoise flapped his patched-up wings and joined the formation. The birds looked at him in amazement and asked, Mr. Emby, what is your name, in case they ask at the gates, considering your strange look? Emby smiled slyly. Today, my name is Unudum, which means all of you. The birds shrugged and advanced. Up they all went into the clouds, into the wind, up into heaven. When they got to heaven, the gates opened. Shining servants welcomed them. Please, introduce yourselves. Eagle stepped forward. Kite, parrot, dove, owl, nightjar, sparrow. Then Emby, with his fake wings and confidence thicker than yam porridge, announced loudly, I am Unudum. All of you, the heavenly spirits nodded. Welcome, all of you. There was first a display of beautiful dancers and praise singers that were invited from other planets to grace the occasion. At the end of their heavenly displays, the feast then began. Huge basins of steaming food appeared: jollof rice, grains, heavenly meats, shawarma, suya, pepper soup, and other soups that smelled of paradise. Kegs of sweet drinks lined the tables. The tortoise, eyes shining, leaned forward and asked, Who are these for? The servants replied, They are for all of you. The tortoise clapped his hands loudly. You heard them. They are for me, Unudum. And before anyone could object, he dove in and ate everything, pushing food into his mouth, swallowing large chunks, drinking every drop of drink. Whenever the birds protested, he raised a hand. Be patient. Yours is coming. This one is for me, the great Unudum. The birds waited, and waited, and waited, but no second round came. At the end of the feast, the heavenly host appeared and announced, Guests, the feast is over. Safe journey back to earth. The birds gasped. The tortoise licked his oily fingers. By the time they reached the gates, the birds were furious. They turned to the tortoise and said, Give us back our feathers. Before he could plead, Eagle snatched his feather, then Kite, then Parrot, then the others. Soon the tortoise stood bare, no wings, no feathers, nothing but his heavy shell and a guilty stomach. This was not the bargain, he complained. Now, how will I get home? He cried, but the birds ignored him and began flying back to earth. Please, the tortoise begged, at least tell my family to bring all the mattresses and foams they can find to the village square, so that when I fall from heaven, I will land softly. The birds nodded, but anger sharpens the heart. When they reached home, they told the tortoise's wife, Your husband said you should gather all the rocks, stones, and iron you can find and bring them to the village square. Obedient and yet worried, the tortoise's family gathered stones, rocks, scrap metal, broken pots, everything hard and heavy. The evening came. The tortoise looked down from heaven and saw a collection of items in the village square, but couldn't make out exactly what were assembled due to the distance. But he had no choice. He aimed the heap down on earth. He took a deep breath and jumped. Down he fell, turning, tumbling, screaming, calling on all the gods he remembered. It was a far, far terrifying fall. He eventually landed with a terrible crash. Unfortunately, his shell shattered into pieces. The shock made him vomit all the heavenly food and drink he had stolen. All the animals gathered around in amazement. They inquired after what happened, and the birds narrated the story. They gasped at first. then burst into laughter. Mr. Tortoise, it serves you right. Greed has no friend. Even in heaven, Mr. Tortoise must cause trouble. Only one creature did not laugh: Snail, M's slow but loyal friend. Snail crawled forward, shedding tears of pity. He gathered all the broken pieces of the tortoise's shell. Then, with his thick, sticky saliva, he glued the shell fragments back together slowly, carefully, lovingly. Then he helped the tortoise to stand up again, with his shell patched like a broken clay pot repaired by a patient potter. And that is why, even today, the tortoise's shell is cracked, bearing the marks of the day he fell from heaven because of greed.